Hi, I'm Andrew Sears. I'm the president of City Vision University, and I'm recording this video for program staff at our partner ministries. The reason why you've been sent this video, in most cases, you'll have been sent this through an email, is because there's a student at City Vision that is a program graduate or maybe currently in a program that you all have, and we asked them to say, identify someone who is program staff that could support you through this. So some of our partners have formal aftercare programs, so that might be your role, and some of them don't have formal aftercare programs, and but you're just program staff that someone thought of you as someone who might be able to support them through this. So that's why I'm sending you this. So our Wounded Healers Aftercare Partnership Program is really designed to be an aftercare educational partnership program for addiction recovery ministries that has 4 components. So there's the education and training. So that's all of City Vision's courses, vocational job and life skills courses. Then we also provide aftercare support. We're going to be hiring someone that's going to be providing essentially case management light or remote case management for our students that are recent program graduates. We ask students whenever they apply, are you a program graduate in the past 3 years? And if they are, we put them into the Wounded Healers program to provide this additional support. Almost all of our Wounded Healers get a partner scholarship and Pell Grant. And the way that works out for our partners that send us 2 or more students, it ends up being $924 per course. And City Vision provides a scholarship if you have 2 or more students. So the Pell Grant's $924 per course for those that qualify. The scholarship's $250 if you have 2 or more students. And then with tuition at $800, the student actually gets paid $374 per course. So for a lot of students, this will help them just be financially sustainable. Now, a couple things to keep in mind on this is, so these are the numbers for the 2023-24 academic year. They may change in future years. And if your organization only has 1 student with City Vision in the past year, they'll only get a 10% scholarship so it's $80 rather than $250. And that can be motivation to send more than 1 student. So some other things about our Wounded Healers program, essentially what we're trying to do is the way I describe it is, for a lot of our ministries, their year 1 of sobriety in their recovery program, and we like to be years 2 through 8. And we're trying to partner with you to keep them on stable employment, housing, and sobriety. So last year in 2023, we had over 100 students. We have 46 ministry partners. Our graduation rate for those who complete at least 1 term's equivalent of courses is 54%. And our employment rate, it's 94%. And, the idea behind this, if you're familiar with Henry Nouwen, he kind of coined the term wounded healers and said, when our wounds cease to be a source of shame and become a source of healing, we have become wounded healers. And that's essentially what we're trying to do with this program, is equip program graduates to become wounded healers. So what specifically is the educational component of the Wounded Healers program? So we have 7 certificates currently: addiction counseling, nonprofit management, business administration, Christian ministry, nonprofit fundraising, retail management, and food services. But then we also have a curriculum for life skills with courses. Our vocation, calling, and purpose of work course helps them develop a life plan based on their strengths and the theology of work. Our Wounded Healers course is really the first course. One of these 2 courses is the first course we want them to take. And students develop a relapse prevention and life balance plan, and they learn to help others do the same. And I'll talk a little bit more about that curriculum. Emotional intelligence is about healthy relationships. Personal finance is financial management skills. Holistic personal health and spirituality is focused on physical health and nutrition and exercise. And often, that affects mental health, and that can affect, relapse rates. So basic job skills course, family issues and recovery, help them process their own family of origin issues. And then technology, life balance, and behavioral addictions. Often what people do is they'll trade in their chemical addictions for behavioral addictions, and this helps kind of address that. So, part of what we're trying to do, so you understand the big picture, what we're trying to do is we're trying to partner with you on providing a holistic plan to expand personal capacity for recovery. So this is actually the Wounded Healers curriculum and the Wounded Healers course, but we have multiple courses that are a part of that. So our life skills courses. So, one of the things is just processing past trauma and family issues. So we have, some courses, and our Wounded Healers course, covers that. And then we also have other advice steps that we're trying to get students to do. So then managing their thoughts and, having healthy core beliefs and a Christian worldview. And we provide a lot of theology and counseling courses for that. And then managing emotion. So that's the emotional intelligence course, and a lot of other counseling courses for that. Healthy relationship and support networks. The big one there, honestly, is attending church and small groups, but other recovery groups. And, many of you are focused on helping them get a healthy living situation and work environment, and we're trying to do that too. Physical health, the holistic physical health course, boundaries and self-care, as I mentioned, is technology, life balance, and behavioral addiction. And, ultimately a big factor is trying to keep them in a good job with financial health and career marketability. So that's the whole program of what we're trying to do, is improve their career marketability, but also, helping them with personal finance and their vocation course and in developing a career plan. So that's how all that fits together. And some people may ask, so where's the Christian worldview? Well, all these things that are in bold, these are particularly Christian as an approach. But what we're trying to do through everything we're doing is to have change behavior and core beliefs based on a Christian worldview. And one way you can think of this whole diagram here, it's a Christian cognitive behavioral therapy approach to change. So some other things, how can we help support your program? So one is we can be a part of your wraparound aftercare support strategy for program graduates to improve long-term success rates. And reducing relapse rates and improving employment outcomes needed for long-term housing stability. Another thing we can do is we can share outcomes data with you. So we're often in relationship with part-time students for 5 to 8 years, and we'd be glad to share outcomes data. It can be really difficult to find out what happened to someone for 5 years, but we're often in relationship with them for a long time. We can provide best practices of effective aftercare programs. We have about 400 meetings a year with recovery ministries, and we learn a lot of what's working well. So we can provide that to you. We can recognize credit for your client educational program. And we also can work with your development department. So, some of our partners have said that, we want to strengthen our grant application. So would you write a letter of support? So, and we could be listed as an aftercare partner. And that honestly helps grant applications, knowing that you have an aftercare partner that's an accredited university. I can throw in things like my background as a graduate of MIT and things along those lines that also, funders like to see that stuff. So, how to support wounded healers in your program. So if possible, and some of you may not have the capacity to do this, especially for people in aftercare, but meet with them at least once per term to provide advice and support them as a student. Provide advice in their own career plan. All the supports you normally provide your own program graduates are going to help provide their successes as students. Often what happens is students will just fall off our radar. We can't get a hold of them, and then we'll follow up with you to find out what happened, or vice versa. We can also, just as you guys develop your aftercare program and you seek additional funding and support, that's going to help us, and we can help you in that. So some of our partners ask, who can be a good fit for City Vision? As I mentioned, we're not trying to be a solution for everyone, all your program graduates, but here's a profile of a typical wounded healer student that's going to be a good fit with City Vision. So a recent graduate of a residential recovery program ministry, still connected to the ministry either formally or informally in an aftercare alumni program. City Vision's usually only a good fit for maybe 5 to 20% of program graduates, depending on the profile of your program graduate. So it's required that they have a high school diploma or GED or some sort of equivalent. It doesn't have to be particularly a GED. But they need to have interest in the fields related to City Vision certificates or life skills courses. So even if they're not interested in those fields, they may want to benefit from the life skills courses. And so we view our life skills courses as partnering with your courses that you're providing or your modules. So yours are kind of like, we view them as the 101 and we'll do the 201. So you might have a financial module that's 20 hours of training. Ours is 135 hours. So it's just going to let things sink in a lot deeper. But one of the biggest issues for people is, do they have the capacity to spend 17 hours a week per course? Very rarely do we find students who don't have the cognitive ability to do our courses. They almost always have the cognitive ability, but a lot of times the limiting factor is, are they willing to put in the 17 hours of work a week? Most of our students are employed full time. So, about half or more are employed at Ministry Partners, often frontline programs, thrift or food services, or others are just in entry-level jobs, in businesses, food services or retail. And so what they'll be a part-time student with City Vision taking one course per term. So that's 17 hours a week per course with 5 terms or 5 courses per year. So that's who a good profile of a good student is. So who's City Vision not a good fit for? So City Vision's not going to be a good fit for program graduates who are either too busy or their lives are too chaotic so that spending 17 hours a week on a course might increase their relapse risk, or housing insecurity. As I mentioned, key factor is almost always time rather than cognitive ability. So you're looking for people in that sweet spot where you don't want them being busy with the course. That would be the straw that breaks the camel's back in terms of them being busy. But for a lot of program graduates, they need to keep busy or else they might get in trouble. So, this can be helpful to, as an add-on, as a hobby, in addition to, their regular work. So we're not going to be a good fit if they strongly prefer working in a trade like construction that provides, a lot of people and depending on where you live, they might have to go for the maximum short-term income for the minimum amount of time just to be able to pay rent. And that assumes that your ministry has paths into those trades that would be a better path than, say, City Vision could provide. We're also not a good fit for people who plan to pursue a career in any field that City Vision doesn't support. So, for example, like nursing, that's not going to be a good option. We're not going to do that. But another category is if the student wants to really use City Vision to transfer our credits into a state school bachelor's program. So most state schools will not take transfer credits from, in general, any Christian schools, but Christian schools like City Vision into their bachelor's program. Our bachelor's program, you should know, it transfers very well into master's programs. We've never had it not accepted in a master's program. So basically, if they want to continue to City Vision through a bachelor's, we're a really good option, unless if they don't want to continue for a bachelor's, we could still be a good option if the certificate's going to have value. So say in the food services or retail, a certificate is going to have a lot of value there. But the other is if they're just taking our life skills courses and, it may not matter as much do they use those as transfer credit, because that's going to help stabilize them. So many of our partners provide life skills training that's not accredited, and they're not saying, well, we shouldn't take them through that because it's, not going to get recognized for credit. We're providing the same type of thing, life skills, so it can be helpful. So, as I mentioned, we provide $160,000, 20% of our budget, almost, to students annually from partners, and we want them to succeed. So, and we don't want to basically be enabling people to not do well in courses. So our scholarships require that they maintain a 3.0 GPA. Or they get put on scholarship probation. And if they're on scholarship probation, if they get on scholarship probation, they can still receive the scholarship if they receive an A or B. The bigger thing to keep aware of is if they lose Pell Grant eligibility, often it can be financially too difficult to continue. So if they go below a 1.5 or 2.0 GPA, then they're going to lose access to the scholarship. So I know you all want your graduates to succeed, your program graduates succeed. So as you're coaching them and as you're meeting with them, if they say, hey, I just failed a course or something like that, just let them understand that they do not want to lose the Pell Grant eligibility. The criteria kind of is complex, so I'm not going to go into all the details, but the GPA requirements and how many courses they have to complete depends on how far they are into the program. So some other things, where do people get off? Often students who do not succeed, it's either because they don't put in the time or they take courses that are too hard to begin with. So often I say it's, like exercising to begin with. You don't want to start off with a half marathon. Our 400 level courses are really difficult for a lot of people to start off. But some of our intro courses, just about anyone can do if they put in the time. So our vocation calling purpose of work course is, something that's recommended. And then our Intro to Christian Addiction Counseling, or Intro to Nonprofit Management, and also the Wounded Healers course. I should have had that listed there. And then they can go to the 200 level courses, and then later take the 300 level courses. So the next thing I want to show is a City Vision degree page. So as you work with a wounded healer and they tell you what they're going through, so they might say, I'm in the addiction counseling certificate. So you can find our different degrees. By clicking on that. You click on the addiction counseling certificate. And if they're asking, what course should I take next or things along those lines, you can go to this page and then you can see the required courses. You can see the course schedule here, and then you can use that to provide advice to students. You can also look at the full course schedule. So this is, the course schedule of the core courses for their program, but you can look at the full course schedule here on our website, and a lot of times that can be helpful as you're advising students. So the last part I want to just cover is, I've talked a lot about the Wounded Healers program, so that's for serving clients. So about 25% of our students are program graduates from our partners, and then about 75% of our students are staff. So, that's across all City Vision programs. And we also have a page that will show some best practices for tuition reimbursement for staff if your organization is doing that. For a lot of the clients, for a lot of organizations, they'll have thrift stores, and they use that as a form of work therapy, or, as a part to help get them equipped for jobs. And we've developed a course that's particularly targeting that audience for a retail management certificate that's targeting thrift. We have another one also for food services management that is targeting food services staff. So if you have staff that are program graduates or not, this could be very helpful. And part of the goal is there, if someone's coming through our Wounded Healers program and they're a program graduate, often about 50% of program graduates are going to work in retail or food services or some sort of frontline job, after they leave the mission. And this can help them move up much more quickly if they have that. We also have courses for fundraising staff in our fundraising certificate. And we can also talk with you if you have, some very well-designed client training programs. We can grant credit sometimes for that. So one of our partners had up to 16 credits that was granted. So, and again, just so you understand all the programs that we offer. So I showed you the certificates, but we also have associates, bachelors, and masters. So we've had many program graduates continue on, through masters, and hopefully eventually we'll be having them go into a doctoral program. And that gets into the last thing, is our partnership vision. So we view our Wounded Healers program, to use kind of a military analogy. You have the enlisted and the military. And our goal is that we're going to continue to grow until we're serving about 10% of program graduates of partners as a key strategy. So we're not going to be a good solution for everyone, but we could be a key strategy in transforming the lives of your program graduates. And then staff, we view that training as officers. And what we're really trying to do is we're trying to enable our partners more than double their staff training hours. We've had some partners increase their staff training hours by 5 or 10-fold. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is significantly improve your ability to transform lives. And then we're in development for a doctoral program, and I view that more as the generals. And we want to serve as the primary source for thought leaders out of the rescue mission and Christian social service movements that are similar, to enable the movements to continue to grow and thrive. So we'd love to help continue to support you. If you have any questions, you can just send us an email at partnerships@cityvision.edu. And thank you for being willing to serve to help support City Vision students in our success, and we want to support you. So again, the email is partnerships@cityvision.edu. Thanks a lot.